Well, hi, everybody. I hope you're doing great. I wanted to let you know that this week we're going to be working on some basketball skills in class. So, if you're a kid who's remote or you're a kid who's been in class and would like to do some more stuff we worked on in class, take a look at this video, see the different stations we're working on, and work on doing the stations correctly. Last week, we worked on some volleyball skills, and you did a really nice job with that in class. And I think as we go along, the more practice you get with these various skills within different sports, the better you're going to get at your overall skill development. In other words, if you're working on something in volleyball like setting the volleyball with your fingertips high and popping the ball up, you're going to do better at shooting a basketball, which is a similar type motion, similar type timing. Same thing in volleyball if you're doing an overhand serve. That's a really similar motion to an overhand throw in baseball. And it's a motion that we use in a number of sports. So whether it's footwork skills or it's paddle skills that we might work on with a paddle or a hockey stick or a baseball bat or a tennis racket or a badminton racket, all these things that we work on don't just stay inside the box of the sport you're thinking of doing that day. They apply to everything. And broader than sports, they help us negotiate the world around us so that we're able to move more smoothly through it and be able to do things with our bodies to navigate and change things around us. So, as we look at our stations this week, I want you to think about not just how they apply to basketball, but also by practicing them, how they'll apply to things that you enjoy doing that aren't basketball as well. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit smaller here. Let's see. Boop, that was pretty easy. And now we're going to take a look at the screen. I might get even smaller than that. Let's do this. Here we go. All right. So first off, as part of our fitness work, we're going to look down here at station number one. We have some kids jumping rope in station number one. Jumping rope is the best workout you can do. It is fast. It is challenging. It's fun. It's got all kinds of different kind of activities you can do with it. So jumping rope is great. Do that a lot. Second station over here is the chest pass. I'm going to float myself. That's dizzy, isn't it? I'm going to float myself down here. The chest pass, which is right up here, shows these two guys passing the ball. And this is an important passing catching drill. You can do this against a wall if you're by yourself or with a buddy. And so notice how they're pushing the ball equally with both of their arms. Their hands are on the side of the basketball, their fingers are spread out, and they're pushing the ball from one person's chest straight across to the other person's chest. Now, notice the step as well. With the chest pass, you can pick either foot to step with because you're pushing equally with both hands. So we'll practice that way. Catching the chest pass, notice that the man's hands, when he's holding the ball and pushing it away from his body, are similar to the man's hands who is catching the ball. Hands are out in front, fingers are spread wide, and he's catching the ball away from his body, not letting it hit his body to catch it. Catching the ball away from your body is very important. Station 3 is the bounce pass. And the bounce pass is, let me get the bar out of your way. The bounce pass is very similar to the chest pass, except you're going to bounce the ball about 3/4 of the way, a little over halfway to your partner. Notice that the ball is not bouncing right in between them in the exact middle. It's going a little closer to the man who's receiving the ball. Notice his hands are out when he's catching the ball, and he's catching the ball away from his body. So you can practice a bounce pass with a buddy or to another wall. All right, station number 4 is tossing a frisbee. If you have a frisbee or a paper plate at home, don't use a hard ceramic plate, just a paper plate, but you can practice throwing a frisbee. This is a good practice because if you're throwing to someone, they're wonderful to practice that same hands out catching motion. Hands out, grab. Throwing, it's a lot of fun too. When you throw a frisbee, you can throw it like this gentleman is here by pretending there's a tabletop in front of you and dragging your frisbee across that tabletop flat. As you let it go, point to your target. This guy's throwing it a really far away, so he's doing a little more of a pull. But you can let go and point to your target, and that frisbee will go where you want it to go. All right, station number 5. I've got station 5 up here, and 6, 7, and 8 on some next slides. So I'm going to scoot over here so you can see. Station 5 has to do with the best shooter in basketball. This guy right here is a really good shooter. He's the best shooter there is. And so I put him here because he can show you really well how your basketball or ball you're using, it doesn't have to be a basketball, needs to be shot toward a basket. Now, if you don't have a basket at home, that's all right. Go out to a wall, aim for a brick that's about 8 or 10 feet high, and try and shoot at the brick. It's the same motion, same practice. You don't have to have a hoop. But look at this. This guy has his elbow underneath the ball right there, and the ball goes up off of his fingertips and flies forward when his wrist flips forward. So when we shoot the basketball, we're looking for balance, our elbows to be in L's, 90-degree angles, which is an L shape underneath the ball. Our eyes are on the target. So if you're shooting at a hoop, your eyes are on the hoop. If you're shooting at a brick, your eyes are on the brick. And then a follow through, which is that snap of the wrist at the very top. You want your wrist to snap forward, and that puts a little backspin on the ball so that when the ball hits the basket, it stays on the rim and drops in. This takes a lot of practice. It's not something you can get over just overnight, but it is something with practice you can get pretty quickly. All right, so that is shooting. Our next station is not this. Let me go back to our slide here. Our next station is keep away. So here, if you only have one person you're working with, you might want to skip this station. But if you have 3 people, this is a lot of fun. Notice there's a guy in the middle. The other 2 guys aren't too far apart from each other, but they're just keeping that ball away from the middle guy. All right, and if he gets it, then the person who threw it to him has to go in the middle. Good. Okay, our next one, station 7, is dribbling. This kid is quite a dribbler. He would be a force to be reckoned with on the basketball court. Notice his eyes are looking forward. His knees are bent. He's pushing the ball down with his fingertips. His guard hand, the hand that's not dribbling, is off to the side and open. And he's got a good rhythm with his dribbling. He's dribbling in rhythm. If we dribble out of rhythm with a different rhythm, it gets harder. So dribbling in rhythm is important too. This is really good dribbling, and he's practicing with both hands, which I'd encourage you to do. Practice dribbling with one hand, then practice dribbling with your other hand. For our younger students, kindergarten and first grade, go ahead and practice dribbling with both hands at the same time. That's a good practice to do in the beginning, but our older students, maybe just dribble with one hand at a time. All right, there's our keep away station. All right, and so our final station is another round of shooting. So in our gym, we have 2 rounds of shooting on each end of the basketball floor. Now, as you play, remember with all things, the reason we're doing stations is because we need a lot of practice. Don't get frustrated if you have trouble scoring the basket in basketball by shooting the hoop. Don't be upset if you don't get it in the hoop a bunch of times in a row, or even if you don't get it in the hoop. Learning how to make the movement. And then with time, I promise I've seen thousands of students in my life, and thousands of students start at the bottom and they practice and practice and practice. And what they choose to practice, they get a lot better at. So if you're someone who was doing great with the volleyball set last week, you're going to do great with shooting, even if it doesn't seem like you are right now. So keep that in mind. Practice a lot. Have fun with it. When one thing you get tired of doing, do another. Keep on going with it. Get a lot of good exercise. Have fun. Play with your family. Enjoy it. And I'll see you next week.